Little Women, Robbie?
Yeah, I mean, I think the film is a complete knockout. I think it's the best thing we're going to be discussing this week. Certainly. It was really interesting to hear return to this idea throughout the interview that she was shocked by the modernity and the urgency of the original book when she revisited it in adulthood. The book is incredibly resilient. I mean, I remember, my first encounter with it was via the Gillian Armstrong film that was out in the early 90s. I watched that over and over again with the Winona Ryder Christian Bale edition.
Yeah.
And that felt timely then. And then I think I read the book off the back of that. And yet when you sit down and watch this version, and it's not like Greta Gerwig has put anything new into it. She has just incredibly diligently gone through the text and pinpointed the moments that speak to the time now. Like Laura Dern as Marmee saying, when one of the daughters, I can't remember who it is, I think it's Jo, says to her, you're never angry, Marmee. And she says, I'm angry every day. Yeah. Right? Now, that's a line that's in the original novel. And I think in the original novel, it's framed by some other dialogue that she talks about how she's able to temper it in order to... Exactly. And so obviously when you're adapting, you work out which bits to keep and which bits to excise. And the fact that she excised those lines but kept that one means it speaks so powerfully to right now, but while remaining 100% faithful to the novel at hand. I think one of the great innovations of this as a work of adaptation is this juggle chronology that she spoke about a little bit, which is rather than just telling the story from start to end, she chops it up between a kind of a present early adulthood and then casting back to childhood for these extended flashbacks. Now, what you lose by doing that is that you lose the novelistic sweep of the story. So you're not, ploughing straight through from childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, and, there's this kind of idea of a life being lived in front of you. But what you gain is something that cinema does better than any other art form, which is this sense of juxtaposition. So it's at the heart of cinema's craft, right? The cut, where we're basically saying, okay, we're going to show you one image, we're going to show you another image, we're going to leave it to you to decide what the connections between these two things are. That's what Gerwig's done with the overall narrative here. She's chosen incidents from the girls, or as they become the young women's current lives, and she's showing you how those stand in contrast, sometimes a kind of a lovely contrast that feels like their lives have been developing, moving towards this point of achievement. Sometimes a bitterly ironic contrast where you see, Amy coming to terms with the fact later in the film that she's never going to be a great artist. She's just turned up having learned this kind of classical painting, studied that in America. She's then gone to Europe when, Impressionism is coming in and she's suddenly, her skills are yesterday's news. She's realising that this is not going to be the way in which she becomes world famous. The two instances of Beth's illness as well, to me, became so much more emotionally powerful for standing right side by side. So although I think it took me a while to get on the same page with what she was doing, when you do, the power of it is really overwhelming.
And it's really testament to her writing as well as her directing.
Oh, totally. She's not just taken a book and transcribed it. This is a really thought through adaptation.
Yeah.
Incredibly smart, incredibly moving.